So 2 weeks after I got out, I decided I needed to get in touch with Peter Ewish from the Circles of Support, and it turned out to be a very good group, but a very significant group. It made a big difference in my life. It would have been extremely difficult for me to find a sense of integrity and a sense of stability without this group. It would have been difficult, very difficult. I may not have even made it. I remember one day going into town and just feeling a lack of control and feeling like, well, you know, I'm embarrassed about this feeling and I don't have to tell anybody. But I have a circle and I could phone anytime. I remember calling Peter, and Peter picked up the phone, and he was in a meeting and couldn't talk, and I just explained that I'm feeling secretive today, and I felt like I don't want to tell anybody I'm feeling this way, and I thought if I called you and let you know it would help. And he said, well, I'm in a meeting, but I'm going to call you later this evening when I get out. And the whole of my day I felt liberated from that feeling, because I told someone about it.
In many ways, they were, like you and I. In many ways, all three guys that I worked with, I had things in common with them. And you encounter people who maybe quite suddenly, one day, this is not to excuse what they've done, but maybe one day they were respected members of society. They had jobs, they had family, they had friends, they had a life, and then all of a sudden it's gone, completely gone. They're criminals, they're despised, they're alone, they're terrified, and this is what I encountered.
I wrote, this is Wednesday, July 28th, so it's not too long ago, and I wrote that Peter empowers me with the most positive affirmations. He helps me realize who I am. I feel better about myself in the midst of my struggles. I realize good reasons for staying on the straight and narrow. And this is just an example of moments that I process after a group, or maybe being a Wednesday, maybe I'd made a phone call or something, or we had lunch on Tuesday, that's what it was.
I've been really lucky. I have a really supportive family, and they would care if I dropped out of school, or they would care if anything happened to me. We talk all the time, we're in touch. Like, I don't think I would have the opportunities that I have without them. When you look at inmates, I really believe that there's a reason, there's an individual reason as to why each person is in prison. Mm-hmm. And I think when you give that person the opportunity to sort of get over those reasons and issues, then they won't reoffend, or they wouldn't offend in the first place.
An offender doesn't have that many reasons to trust me at first. I'm saying, well, I'm a psychologist. Well, okay, what does that mean to him? But what I mean is, to me, trust is an openness to test some limits. Okay? When you don't trust anyone, you're very alone in the world. You have to be on the defensive. And most of the time, when you're on the defensive, you're also on the offensive.
Le lien n'est pas mon cercle, ce sont mes agents de libération, ce sont mes psychologues ou la police, ou ma famille qui me contrôle, qui a peur. Non, ce sont des gens de confiance avec lesquels je suis engagé dans l'ordre de cette communication régulière. Bonjour, aujourd'hui, ça va bien. Ah oui, ça va bien, je suis donc content. Ah, moi aussi, ça va bien. Bon. Ou aujourd'hui, j'ai de la difficulté. Ah oui, qu'est-ce qui se passe?
To me, it's a number of people who voluntarily give the time and attention and help to help a guy who goes out of jail and doesn't have much resource, or as the resources he has or relationship he had in the past were mostly negative, or putting him down or leaving him alone, to build a new set of skills and bounce around ideas on what he could do with different situations that he has to encounter, how to deal with finding a new job, or dealing with new possible friends, or looking out for an adequate apartment that respects his budget. Some of our guys have very poor decision-making skills. They tend to be very emotive. They have a problem, and what feels right must be right.
So you get the sense of, from these volunteers, that they're there for the community. As much as they're helping our person or our offender, they're also helping our community. And they've understood that by putting them away is not the answer. It's by integrating them, and integrating them well. And I find it great. I think they're actually heroes, as far as I'm concerned. You know, they're actually the ones protecting society more than what the police can do.
I would say that for me, they probably put an hour to 2 hours a day into what I'm doing, plus the fact that, you know, I report back to them every week with some of the things that we've suggested that I try to do differently or whatever in trying to cope with certain situations in my life. So 1 hour or 2 hours a week is, I don't think there's anybody in a circle who is doing that. And, you know, other than maybe we meet in a room for 1 or 2 hours, but outside of that, I'm meeting 6 or 7 hours a week just with the people in my circle, whether it's going for coffee or having breakfast or doing whatever. So it goes a lot further than that, and I drive them crazy phoning them. So, and never once have, unless they're in a meeting or something, never once have I had that feeling that I shouldn't be calling them or that I was calling too much. So, and that's not because I believe that's not because they're trained to try to be tolerant of people's phone calls. I believe it's because they really care, and I think their number one priority is the same as mine, is to not have another offense. So if that's some of the things that they have committed to doing to not have another victim, well, you know, we've all got the same goal, and I think that's a good thing. So.
Where I used to work is my old job. It's up to him if he hires me back or not. Everybody wants me back, but it's up to him. Him being the big boss. Everybody's boss.
So I have a hard time when people say, you know, a person can't be cured, they can't do this. I just think that the person doesn't have the right resources or abilities. But when everything is in place, like a puzzle, when everything is in place, then yes, that person can. And I've seen by experience, I've seen that it does work. So anybody who tries to convince me otherwise has to have a very good argument, because it does work. And so when you tell me that there's a program that exists where 75 to 80% of the people will not re-offend, it's gold. You jump at it. And why does it work? Why does 75 or 80% of it work? Because there's a human aspect into it. We're working with a human being.
C'est ensemble, nous goûtons à la compassion. Parce que ce qui t'humanise dans le besoin que tu as de retrouver ta dignité m'humanise. Et aussi parce que je peux présenter ce qu'il y a de plus humain en moi face à toi, comme toi, de ce que tu as de plus humain face à moi. Et entre autres, parce qu'il y a des cercles de soutien. Parce que j'y pensais hier, quand je vois le nombre de cercles en cours et le peu de récidives à travers les 5 dernières années que nous pouvons. Vous savez, il y avait une dame, une grand-maman, qui disait, moi, mon engagement dans les cercles de soutien, je le fais particulièrement pour ma petite fille. Parce que je me dis, c'est ma contribution pour qu'il y ait moins d'agressions sexuelles dans ma communauté. Elle avait raison. Et c'était sa motivation et sa fierté aussi.
He learned that he was not alone, and that there were others who cared for him and wanted him to be on the right path, to not reoffend. And this man and people like him need a group. It's an extension of his family and part of the community serving an individual who needs to know that he's, despite his offenses of many years past, that he's loved.
The primary goal of circles of support and accountability is to stop the cycle, to stop this stuff from happening. That is the main objective. So I guess as a parent, I have an extra an extra stake in that.
Like, had the circle not been there, these people would have been alone and wouldn't have had anyone to be accountable to. And it's easier to offend if you don't have anyone to be accountable to. You don't have any links to the community, so any actions against the community are excused, I guess.
But people need each other. That's the main thing. And if people can have people in their lives that provide a meaningful support and understanding and acceptance and encouragement, they can help build and restore basically a damaged person.
You know, no matter what happens, I know that once a week, if not more, I can always count on someone to be there for me, just for me. They have proven that, because every time I've had a crisis in life, so to speak, they've dropped whatever they're doing and they were there. They helped me work through it. It was something I'm not used to. Still not used to it.
But as you ask the question about other people that don't have support, I know they're feeling lonely. What are they going to do? And who's telling them that it's normal to feel lonely? Who's telling them that it's okay to be who they are? If they don't have that in their lives, it's got to be extremely difficult.
I think it's really important that they have space for that part of themselves to exist, you know, that carrying the pain, that, you know, to be disconnected from, you know, to not be able to look at yourself, you know, like to not be able to take responsibility because it's too painful. All of that is just like a big load of pain.
When I take a picture of something like this wall or anything in the wall, I actually feel like I'm a part of it. I feel such a oneness, a state of connection, and I feel privileged to be able to experience that moment. Even a simple thing like a silly stain on a wall, which can end up being quite beautiful. But you can walk by it and just not see a thing there. It just looks like a dirty spot on the road.